Second 75. Is that him or me? Oh yeah, it is me, isn't it? How do you know that? So how do we stop that? Thank you.
Shorting on your necklace.
We can take that off. After all of that. Good afternoon. We welcome you here to First Baptist Institutional Church. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we are so glad to rejoice and be glad in it. We are welcomed here together with Christ Church Cranbrook as we celebrate new beginnings at First Baptist Institutional Church. The scripture in Psalms 33, verse 5 says, "The earth is full of its unfailing love." New beginnings that we see often give us joy and give us hope. And there's a certain energy that comes with that, accompanied with new starts. God has designed creation to give us a similar sense of hope and joy every day of our lives. Before sin entered the world, creation radiated God's justice, God's faithfulness, and his love. God's word by which heavens and earth are created gave structure and gave meaning to all creations and all new things. At this time, we catch a glimpse of the beauty and the joy of God's creation. We marvel at this beauty. We celebrate the beauty of new creations. And so on this day, we dedicate this day to the opening of the First Baptist Institutional Resource Center. Think about this. We watch the sun set over the waters. We wonder at the complex patterns of frost etched over the window panes of winter. We admire the fresh snow blanketing trees in our yards and in our neighborhood. And when spring comes forward, we are delighted with the first blade of grass or the first blooming flower. Too often, though, we're in a hurry to see what God is doing in our lives and the creative majesty of God's work. And so as we enter into this new year, we see that God has helped us in many ways that we could not even imagine. We thank God on this day as we come together to observe something new, to observe a new day of his unfailing love and his creation. The work of the church is essential. The work of caring for the lonely, the marginalized, the oppressed, and the voiceless is essential. The work of speaking the truth to power and seeking justice is essential. We thank God because the work of the loving, the liberating, and showing a life-giving presence in this world is essential. The work of welcoming the stranger, the homeless person, a person who hungers, a person who's in need, the refugee, the undocumented is essential. The work of reconciliation and forgiveness for healing and caring is essential. And to this end, the church may not have its doors open on a regular basis right now, but the church is always open to the community through missions and the work it does for those outside of this building. We thank God on this day that we're able to create new beginnings with the First Baptist Institutional Church. We'll now have a song selection.
So why do I worry about my life when you come to my rescue 1,000 times? Every other voice is a lie. God provides, God provides, in ways I can't explain and can't deny. The little that I have, He multiplies. Just when I feel He won't show up on time, God provides. He'll come through when the clouds of doubt rain down on you and test everything you thought you knew. Now you finally see what God can do for you. So tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Watch God provide. God provides. It's hard to say when there's no food to eat, or what you see feels all that life will be. And will this be another year of misery for me? But my faith can't survive on just things I see, and my feelings can't control my destiny. See, God, I only want what you believe for me. So tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Ooh, watch God provide. Yeah, He will provide before your eyes. Oh, He will. So tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Watch God provide. He will provide before your eyes. He will whatever you need. I know that He will provide. Yes, He'll step right in the nick of time. Yes, He will. He'll open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing you won't have room to receive. Yeah. So tonight, close your eyes, there's no more need to fight. Watch God provide.
And so on this day, as we celebrate the opening of the Resource Center, I'd like to introduce a friend, one who has joined me in such a great initiative. It is Father William Danaher from Christ Church Cranbrook. He'll come and bring remarks on behalf of the church as well as from the Allison Foundation. Let me share at this time that what a beautiful relationship that it has always been, and what great relationships will incur out of this. I've developed new friends through Christ Church Cranbrook, and I have continued to be nurtured by their spirit and their love. I thank God for Anisha and all that she has been to me. I thank God for those who have been joined with us in this great venture, this initiative. And I thank God for those on our trustee board who has stepped up to help to develop what has been so much a passion for me, and that is that we reach out to those who are less fortunate, those who are disenfranchised. Hear ye my friend, and hear his voice, and hear him clearly, hear the passion that comes from him, and the joy that resonates through him, that he might share with you a little bit about this relationship.
It is such an honor to be here with you all today. Thank you so much for making time and being with us. And this relationship began I think it was about 2016 or so, when you came to a service at Christ Church Cranbrook. We were hosting World Sabbath, and Robin and I got to know each other, and then we had friends who had friends, and then Pastor Manisha and I came to Robin's installation here, and we learned a little bit about this incredible congregation. Founded in 1916, this congregation has been a light and a beacon of hope for this surrounding community for more than 100 years. And it's not without a sense of trembling in my soul and in my heart when I walk on this campus, because I know what has happened here in the past, and I also know what's going to be happening here in the future. And that has been fulfilled in marvelous ways by the start to the ministry that you have brought here, Robin. It's such an honor to be with you. I was listening to that song by Tamala Mann, God Provides, and it's an incredible song, and it's a kind of prayer and a kind of assurance to the person who's praying. And the words that were said were this: God provides. It's hard to say when there's no food to eat, or what you see feels like all that life will be. And will this be another year of misery for me? But my faith can't survive on just things I see, and my feelings can't control my destiny. See, God, I only want what you believe for me. Now that is an incredibly powerful prayer. It's a prayer that reaches out to God in the midst of experiencing disillusionment, disappointment, distress, challenge, everything. And one can imagine many of the people who are in the immediate surrounding community here facing and offering up that prayer, hoping that God would provide. Because this community is resilient, this community is wonderful. It's also struggled for generations without opportunities and without support. And so when we came to First Baptist Institutional Church, and when we saw the incredible prophetic pastoral ministry that Robin is bringing to this congregation, and I balance those two, both the prophetic and the pastoral, the church is thriving because of what's happening here inside it, but also what's happening outside of it. We knew that we were called by God to help the person who prays that prayer in this neighborhood see it to be answered. Because when someone chooses, as Tamala Mann says, to not fight and to trust that God provides, that creates a kind of network of responsibility, a kind of obligation on us to make sure that that prayer gets answered and that we become God's servants and God's messengers. So standing behind this relationship has been a relationship between two pastors and three pastors, and something that has been deepening between our congregations. Standing behind this relationship was the recognition on the part of us at Christ Church Cranbrook that God has been doing something already, always through First Baptist Institutional Church. Standing behind this relationship is the recognition that we need, as people of faith in an incredibly divided city in which there is such distance between us, we need to be the bridge builders. We need to be the people that close that distance. We need to walk together, and we need to see what God would do through us when we start to act in such a way that we make room for God's prayers to be answered in our lives. And that's why we're here. That's the reason why we're entering into this relationship. And I want to say one more thing before I say a little bit about the Allison Foundation. As I was preparing for this, I also kept in mind not only that incredible praise song that you brought before me, but a prayer that was written by a Roman Catholic bishop from Saginaw. And it's an incredible prayer, and it's called Prophets of a Future Not Our Own. And I always keep this prayer in mind because anytime I start something new, there's always something to be learned. And every time I go through all the planning that I do, and I'm one of those people that's hyper-organized and I'm always planning, I also have to keep in mind that whatever God has in store is not going to be what I think is going to happen. And so this is the prayer that was written back in 1979 while Bishop Ken Unterner of Saginaw, Michigan was actually working in Detroit. He writes this: "It helps now and then to step back and take the long view. The kingdom is not only beyond our efforts, it is even beyond our vision. We accomplish in our lifetime only a tiny fraction of the magnificent enterprise that is God's work." Which is another way of saying that the kingdom lies behind us. No statement says all that could be said. No prayer fully expresses our faith. No program accomplishes the church's mission. No set of goals and objectives includes everything. No strategic plan addresses every possibility. This is what we are about. We plant seeds that one day will grow. We water seeds already planted, knowing that they hold future promise. We lay foundations that will need to further develop. We provide yeast that produce effects far beyond our capabilities. We cannot do everything, and there is a sense of liberation in realizing this. It enables us to do something and to do it very well. It may be incomplete, but it is a beginning, a step along the way, an opportunity for the Lord's grace to enter and do the rest. We may never see the end result, but that is the difference between the master builder and the worker. We are the workers, not the master builders, ministers, not messiahs. We are prophets of a future not our own. And I think of this prayer today because as much as we have worked together to plan this and do all the due diligence that you have to do when you're starting a resource center, as much as we have coordinated our efforts and tried to come up with a way and a plan that we think will work as we provide wraparound services for the people that need that kind of support in terms of handling their needs for their rent assistance, in terms of offering opportunities for literacy, in terms of offering clothing, in terms of offering food, of doing that kingdom work that God has called us to do. We have to keep in mind, God is not calling us to be messiahs. There's already one Messiah, and that's Jesus. God is not calling us to be master builders. We won't know how this will turn out. God has simply called us to prophesy to the future that is not ours, to be workers and ministers, to plant seeds, to provide yeast, to water what is already growing. And so with all of that in mind, I want to thank First Baptist Institutional Church for stepping into this with us, because we are looking to be transformed as well. We are not looking for another way to expand our efforts to one of the 14 organizations we support in Pontiac and Detroit. We hope for something deeper in this relationship. We hope to be changed by the Spirit between us, by the Spirit of God that goes with us, by the Christ who holds us together as members of his body. And so I'm profoundly grateful for this day. And I'm profoundly grateful for this incredible congregation. I'm so proud of its history. I'm so proud of its pastor. I'm so proud of its lay leadership that I'm just bursting today. Having said a little bit about why we're doing what we're doing, I want to say a little bit about how we're doing it. So, as many of you know, Christchurch Cranbrook does a lot of partnerships, and one of the things that we've tried to do over the last 5 years is to find organizations that want to make a constructive change in the world around them, and to step with them and to provide some of the community engagement that those organizations seek to encourage. And so the Allison Foundation, which was started in 2015, was dedicated to providing resources to the poor. And Douglas Allison was a member of another church, but his wife went to Christ Church Cranbrook, and so that helped too. And we approached the Allison Foundation, and we asked for catalytic grants to 3 different programs that we felt were going to make a difference in Detroit. And this resource center was one such program, because we believe that First Baptist Institutional Church had the incredible resources behind it in terms of the expertise and the personnel so that they could be incredible ministers. And we also believed that we had sufficient experience and membership that we could come and be part of things as well. And so we approached them for a grant that would pilot a program of having a resource center here. And we hope over the course of the grant life, which is about a year, that we'll be able to come back to them and show them some measurable results that will encourage them to perhaps further support this endeavor. So this is the beginning. But I want to say that first and foremost, that I am deeply grateful to the board of the Allison Foundation, to Sarah Allison, who sits on that board and is a member of Christ Church Cranbrook and was behind this project, and to everybody who in 2015, when that foundation was started, saw this kind of change as something that it wanted to accomplish. And so, working with the Allison Foundation, our hope is to continue to do these kinds of catalytic investments and to continue to see the fruit of this program grow over time. We are, again, ministers and not messiahs. Our job is to plant the seeds, and we hope to be the yeast, and we hope to be the water, but we also know that we have to have some seeds planted in us. We know that we're going to be ministered to as we seek to minister. And we know that when we're working in this resource center, that the people that are going to be transformed as much will be us doing that work as the people we will be seeking to serve. And so, with all of that in mind, and having touched upon those things, I want to thank Dr. Moore for her incredible leadership and for this willingness on the part of the leadership as First Baptist Institutional Church for being willing to walk with us. And may God bless us richly as we go together. Thank you so much.
So I'd like to share that we are so grateful for the Allison Grant planting the seed. So let me first, as pastor of First Baptist Institutional Church, say thank you. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for planting the seeds that we pray will grow and continue to flourish year after year, that it might be a beacon of light to someone who feels a place of darkness, that it might find joy when someone is finding sadness, and that it might find happiness each and every day as it goes forward. So I thank you again for that. I want to take the moment to acknowledge also the donations made in memory of Deacon Carl Sturdivant, one of our deacons here that passed away back in October. And we are so grateful that his wife and his family, Trustee Dolores Sturdivant, has allowed, in lieu of flowers, to allow offerings to be donated to the Resource Center. And so with that, we thank God for those contributions and the contributions that have been made thus far by First Baptist Institutional Church. At this time, I'd like to ask our trustee to come forward, Rebecca Cunningham, to share a few remarks on behalf of First Baptist Institutional Church.
Good afternoon. It's really a blessing and a pleasure to be doing this project along with Christbrook, and we thank you for that opportunity, Pastor. It's really a needed service in this community, and we are very proud and excited about being able to go out and lift up members of our community along with working with Christ Church. Pastor has forced me to come outside of my comfort zone, and it has been very, very beneficial, and it makes me very happy, and the other trustees that are working along with me. I had kind of gotten relaxed, but now I'm thinking in a positive way how we're going to help our community and the different things that we'll be able to do along with your assistance. And all I can say, we're happy and excited that we're going to be a blessing and a service in this community. So thank you very much.
Oh, I'm losing things. But nevertheless, we now conclude this portion. We will now take a picture together without our mask, okay? Okay. And then we will transition to the resource center and do the ribbon cutting at this time. So we'll do one with the mask and one without them.
I can do whatever, it's all right.
Okay, so let's do one with the mask and without them. They want us, we wanted to know that we did follow protocol, right? All righty.
How do you want to do it?
Let's go over here. Perfect. I don't think he wants his shoes on.
Yes. Anisha doesn't like these shoes.
I would say good smile, but I can't see it.
I know. All right, we're ready.
Are you ready? You good? Okay. With the mask? Yeah, go ahead. No, you do this one, and then we're going to take this mask off for just the 30 seconds.
Robin's mask would go with my shoes.
Are you good? Okay, so now let's take this stuff off. Okay, so here we go. You good? All righty, let's go over towards the resource center.